Sure. So my name is Kathryn Thompson. I just finished my 5th year in gender studies. I have taught a variety of classes. I've taught 2 semesters of Gender Studies 101. I've taught 2 semesters each of 2 separate topics courses, Gender Studies 104 and Gender Studies 205. Those topics courses I had complete control over. I was able to design the syllabus, design the curriculum. They mostly tended to be between 25 to 40 students. The Gender Studies 101 was right around 25, which was a little bit smaller. The 104 was 35 to 40, and then the 205 was 25 to 30. So I was a grader for G225, which is an 80 student lecture class, but I was an instructor of record, so I have a little bit of experience, but not sort of at the helm doing that. Yeah, my population of students, I tend to, because I've taught the lower division classes, I tend to have more students who are a little earlier on in their career. But I have, because it is gender studies, a lot of students pick it up as a minor later. The topics courses that I taught don't have prereqs, so people who just are like, oh, this sounds interesting. So I get students from other departments. I've had upperclassmen, I've had juniors and seniors. I tend to have more women than men. I've never had a class that's been all women, but the majority is always women, but there's a few men. This can be good and bad in gender studies. It can present a little bit of a challenge just because of the nature of what we're talking about. There's the potential for male students to get very defensive when we start to talk about things like male privilege, and for most students to get defensive when we start to talk about things like class privilege and white privilege, which a lot of students experience. So I think that might be sort of a unique thing that not all instructors have to deal with. Ask is like, well, how did it get like this? Like, why is it like this? If this is so unfair and it's so just the deck is stacked for some people and not for others, like, why did this happen? How did it get like this? How come no one has like noticed, I guess? Like, it really kind of clashes a lot of times, especially if they're underclassmen. Like, really a lot of the ideas that they've sort of been taught from day one, like in terms of like, we're America, everybody's equal, we're an equal society, like we're all the same, all of that stuff. And so that really challenges a lot of, that can tap into, you know, national identity, patriotism, nationalism, like all that stuff that's really kind of deep-seated. And so one of the things that I tell them is the way that these systems perpetuate themselves and the way that these systems grow and continue to exist is that they are invisible. That if everybody knew that they existed, it wouldn't be quite like this. Part of the reason that they continue the way that they do is that people don't notice and that people don't think that they have these privileges. And so the first step, and probably the most crucial step, is actually really just realizing that it exists.